and welcome to Add More Zest. And my name's Rebecca, also known as 4Kids at 147, and I'm just shoving those round diamonds up a little bit. Did a little bit of multi-placing on this last night, and I know there was a couple that not quite covering the symbols due to the way that I place them, so I like to give them a little nudge every now and then. But anyway, I hope everybody is great. I am working on this painting from Oraloa. This one is called Fox Woman. I've actually just had a few new Oraloas arrive as well, so I will be unboxing one of those on Friday. Rather excited for those in the upcoming months. But yeah, I haven't got a huge amount done since last time, as you can tell. I've got a bit of a face done. Had a bit of a busier week, or at least a few evenings have been busier, and while I've been able to get a little bit of diamond painting in, so I have done a couple of my Paint Gem minis, sort of moving those along, though to get all 3 sets done takes quite a while. But I've been able to get a few of those done due to not having as much time in the evening, but I've not been able to have some full-on sessions on this painting as much, so there's not as much progress. Plus I am filming this earlier this week, so I'm filming this within the week. Catherine is home from uni. It is launch on Friday, which means the weekend is always busier for me anyway, prepping for launch and making sure that we have enough cover paper and other items that have been ordered, logbook inserts, all that sort of stuff. We print out sort of a list of everything that's been ordered and make sure we do any prep that we need to do over the weekend. But I also have an appointment on Saturday where I'll be out the house for only a couple of hours. But I sort of feel, I always feel prior to launch weekend, sometimes fitting all the prep in and videos can already be, I wouldn't say a struggle, but sometimes can be a little bit of a juggle. Whereas with me having an appointment on Saturday as well, I was like, Catherine is home. She is off from work today because when she does come home for holidays, she picks up work at a sort of her job that allows her to work, say seasonally, but sometimes she picks up shifts when she just comes home for the weekend. But they're really good at sort of letting uni students work when they're home. So yeah, she has a day off today. So I thought, let's have a WIP and Waffle chat, and then I don't need to worry about Sunday's video. It will be edited, uploaded, ready to go for you guys to watch. And then the other videos then I can fit in as and when around over the course of the weekend, but not keep thinking I need to make sure one's up by 4 o'clock on Sunday. I think that's always the way. So yeah, so I am filming this before launch, but thank you to everybody who has purchased during launch. I am actually currently using our pink tray, our stock pink tray, and our hot pink pen, because I'm not sure how well the peach may or may not go. I think it's going to be a popular one because it is a paler colour, but I never know. So I thought, let's just use some pink for a change. I've not used the pink for a while. And yeah, we'll sort of see how far we get. I'm not setting a set amount to do. This is my current WIP, so I have no problem sort of peeling back like a little bit of a bigger section, and then seeing how it goes, how much I get done. Basically, we'll just sort of go by time, do an hour or so, and yeah, enjoy your Sunday afternoon. I hope you're having a relaxing time and get all productive time, whichever suits you. I tend to thrive more on a productive day than a do nothing kind of day. Just every now and then my body says, you're doing nothing today. It just doesn't warm me, so I can plan it into my schedule. But anyway, yeah, I hope you're all having an absolutely fantastic weekend. So I'm going to get to some comments, questions, etc., and see where this conversation takes us, because I do have quite a lot on my WIP and Waffles. I think I did say last week I was hoping to do a longer one this week, but I don't know whether it slipped my mind that it was launch weekend or whether my brain thought I could achieve more in a 24-hour period than I actually can. But this is not going to be a mammoth long one because it's launch weekend. So there's lots of other things to squeeze into the day. Right, have I got all of those? And if so, we can grab... I'm trying to think, do I want to grab a new symbol, or what I actually might do is do my ABs. I like to do my AB diamonds before placing the others around them, because I find that means then that I can nudge them if I need to. So I'm actually just going to go through them in order that they appear in my case. So we'll start with the letter A. Take the top off my pen. But anyway, Queen of Diamonds, she says, hey Rebecca. She said she loves my videos and seeing how I do things. She says she totally loves how organised I am. She says respect 100%. Thank you. I find that I'm a lot calmer, a lot more productive, and things are a lot better for me personally if I'm as organised as I can be. I actually enjoy organising things. I also love it when some form of organisation just works 100% and it's sort of able to slip into my day-to-day. But sometimes my organisation, or however I've organised something, doesn't work 100% and I have to tweak it, which in a way, because I do enjoy it, that's not a problem. I don't mind tweaking things until they're better, and then I move on to whatever my next focus is. But yeah, there are some times when things get crazy busy, there might be stuff, here, there and everywhere. And every now and then I do have to say to myself, nope, pause, organise yourself and then start again. And I find that I am much better doing that. I feel much better doing that. So yeah, I do love to be organised. Cat Lady, she says, happy Easter, Rebecca, to you and your family. So I am on comments still from Easter. She said she'll be with me for half of this WIP and Waffle before she needs to go and see to the roast dinner. Oh, sounds delightful. She says she tends to take bookmarks away with her if she wants small things to work on. So bookmarks are an ideal sort of size, and they can be nice little gifts as well to give to friends afterwards. So yeah, anything small like that is always a nice sort of takeaway type thing off the canvas, or little mini paint gems or something like that are always fun to do. She says she's thinking about which painting to do next. She says they are all 40 by 50 or bigger. or she has the Diamond Art Studio Advent calendar to finish, as it needs to be packed away in between house showings. The least amount of things to put away would be best. She said the coffee hugging a mug painting came out great. Yes, it did come out wonderful. I absolutely love that picture. I was gonna say mix up a 40 by 50 with the Diamond Art Studio Advent, just because the Diamond Art Studio Advent painting is so different. It's one that's sort of nice to slip in with others, like do a row of your 40 by 50 and then do a section of your Diamond Art Studio Advent. But because you do need to be able to be packing it away, I can get that you don't want multiple things out all the time. So I'm going to suggest that you do a 40 by 50, so the smallest painting that you have. And maybe look at also doing the one with the least amount of numbers, so that you can keep your case small as well. And then you can roll it up and tuck your case out the way as you go along. That's going to be my suggestion for it, because you don't know how long it's going to be between viewings and how long it's going to be until, you know, things are just going through the process. So I wouldn't suggest going through all your tiny little projects. I would suggest having something that's bigger. But 40 by 50 is quite a nice little size to be working on. Lanice Young says good morning and happy Easter. Thank you. I have just reacted to a few messages that just say happy Easter, just because I'm a bit behind and it has been a couple of weeks. But there are a few names that don't crop up as often, so I want to make sure that their comments are read out, but thank you. You may end up finding that there are some happy Easters along with other things that are said in the comments, so I've kept those in for other things, but just happy Easter. I've just given a little reaction to let you know that I've read it. Jamie, she says, holy cow, she says, you'll need to stay off the topic of Legos. Or Lego. She says she's just looked up the prices. And she says, not a hobby that she needs to start, but it's very tempting. It is very, very dangerous. I have listened, people have said that they do want to see my Lego. So while I am currently working on a WIP and don't have paintings to de-kit or kit up, or won't do for a bit, I am going to slip in quite a few more different types of videos. I'm going to do ones that get projects completed that maybe I want to get done around my diamond painting and things like that. So I've done my tray storage sort out. I have my spare storage sort out. I want to show you my setup for my drafting table and how I currently use that. I reserve the right to change because I'm forever changing, but yeah, I've slipped in sort of a few videos in my schedule here, there and about on different things like that, so that you guys can see just, I suppose, a few different little videos, some things behind the scenes, some project planning stuff, and then of course once it gets to the point that some kits are finished, we'll slip them in as well. And I do have a few more tips and tricks videos sort of scheduled in and spread out as well, so that we can get to 100 tips and tricks videos being done. But yeah, I have popped Lego on that list. So apologies, it will be spoken about again, but it's just, I'm just going to show you basically mine and hubby's Lego collection. Just note it has been over quite a few years. Not everything has been purchased very recently. So it does take a bit of time to build up, but I'm hoping to sneak that video in if I can get people out of the way while I do. Henny's says, hi Rebecca, happy Easter to you and the Zesties. She says she is about to kit down her 32nd finished painting in 3 months of diamond painting. Oh my goodness me, go girl. You are well and truly off and to the races. Absolutely love it. Then again, I feel like I've done pretty well on numbers of paintings so far this year. I think I've just slowed down a bit now. I'm on a bigger one. Now I've switched up to a bigger painting, things have slowed down a bit. But it may be that between this week and next week's WIP and Waffle, I get loads done. Or it may be that it's just trickled along again. Time will tell. She says she's killing up the next one as well. She says addicted much. Addicted lots. But hey, that is a part of the fun of it all. As long as you are enjoying the process. You will probably find as time goes on, there will be some times when you don't get as much done as other times, but it just depends on what stage of life you're in. Or you know how busy you are. At the moment I've not been able to diamond paint as much for a couple of evenings. Like I've been able to do a little bit, as I say, some paint gem maybe, or maybe a small section on this. I know I think I did some last night and it was like 3 colours. That was it. That was all I got to do because I was helping Caris do some wedding invites. I've also been helping Catherine with her uni assignments while she's been home. We've been enjoying doing that, and I have a couple of things to do prep for Advent that are I don't want to use the word tedious, but they probably are tedious. When you times it by the amount of times I need to do it, it's tedious. But it's sort of a switch off thing. You know, there's not much thought. There's just a lot of it to do. So I've been doing that while she's been writing sentences on her essay. And then we play a game of cards and then she writes some more of her essay depending on what's been pulled out or who's won. Depends on who's won, depends on how much she does. If she wins, she writes 1 sentence. If I win, we actually spin a wheel before the game starts to say how many sentences she's got to write. We've even brought the decision wheel into exam writing, but it's fun and we're both getting something productive done. But yeah, that has taken up sort of a couple of my evenings, or a chunk of my evening, which stops me spending, you know, maybe an additional hour doing some of this, or I just decide not to do any of this and do a paint gem because I can just do a 45 minutes and then go to bed. So Cheryl, she says yay. She says she's so glad that I received the post-it notes. She says that was her first time sending mail to the UK, so she was a bit nervous. Well, it arrived safe and sound and is greatly appreciated, so thank you so much. She says she hopes that I find the post-its helpful and they jog your memory. I do. Even actually writing down on them, whether that just makes it stick in my memory a bit more, but having those here with a designated purpose of writing things that need to go into the shop or come out of the shop has helped ever so greatly, because as much as I could put a notebook here, to write down things that I need to bring. Because it's a notebook and can be used for so many other things, it would get picked up, used for other things and moved. Whereas I've found, because the post-it notes are specifically and only for that purpose, and I have some in here and some in the shop, that quite often I then don't need necessarily to remind myself to look at them. The act of writing them down on the post-it helps me to then remember. So they've been absolutely perfect, so thank you so much. Olivia, she says, hello dotting fans. She says, thank you for reading out my previous comments. She said, you probably saw my post regarding going onto the Ikea website, she says, on Facebook, as she is wanting some storage for the dotting den. I like that name, dotting den. She says, do you have any tips if I want to go to the shop, as she hasn't been for ages? She said, someone said it's a bit all over the place, where bits of the furniture are placed in different aisles. She says she thinks it may be easier for me to order the storage online, as it would make me go a bit crazy if she had to match anything up. So yes and no. So with Ikea, a lot of the stuff sort of as you walk around, the smaller stuff you pick up in the areas you're in the Ikea areas you're in. But the bigger stuff, you tend to, it's a matter of making note of the aisle and place, and then you go to the warehouse and pick it up. So while it may feel like it's all over the place, it's in one warehouse. It's sort of different aisles and different places. The only time that we found, because we go Ikea often and we pretty much know where everything is in our Ikea because we're that sad, but we've only found that things are sort of further away if we're looking at some sort of storage bin to go into. Either well, for us it was the clear storage bins that we wanted to go into a rack, like a racking shelf that was actually on Ikea's website as a wardrobe shelf, as like an open plan wardrobe shelving system, which they then did a hanging system to go with the wardrobe system. But we were looking at, in effect, the shelving that was classed as a wardrobe, and therefore it was further away from the boxes that we wanted to use to put on it. So we did go to test out whether things would work. We did have to go to the storage and grab samples of each of the boxes and go back to the wardrobe section to test them all out, but we're sad enough to just do that because we go on an evening when it's a lot quieter and we're not fighting with people. But otherwise, I find that, you know, if you're after boxes, say, to go in a Kallax system, they do, while the Kallaxes are stored with the bookcases near the living room section, they do actually have a Kallax system where the boxes are as well. So while you don't pick up the Kallax from either place, you can see them laid out in sort of two different ways in two different places, and you can test the boxes in the Kallax when you're in that section. You just can't maybe test them on a Billy bookcase because the boxes aren't necessarily made for a Billy bookcase, if that makes sense. So if you're talking smaller organisation to go onto a certain shelf system, then if you're wanting to test them in Ikea, that can be a little bit trickier, and you may be better, you know, go into to where the boxes are held and actually walking them to whatever area it's in. But actually picking stuff up in the Ikea warehouse I've done multiple. I mean, when we were getting the furniture for the shop, we filled that car, and our car's not a small car, but we filled that bad boy. Even though we had to go down a few aisles, what we actually did, and what we often do, is if you use the Ikea app, we save the Ikea app. We save them into our favourites. So we had a list on our favourites which you could call Dotting Den. So call it Dotting Den and add everything that you want for your Dotting Den in there. And as long as your store is set, as long as you set your favourite store to the one you're going to, then it will actually tell you in there every aisle and number for each place that you need to go. And you can check them off your list as you sort of pick them up. So it's sort of the easiest way to have an inventory list. Otherwise, if you just sort of look them up on the screens that IKEA have and went, okay, I want a Kallax, and you go and pick up the Kallax, and then you check the next screen list and you want a Billy bookcase and it makes you go further back, that can be annoying. But you can avoid that by, say, getting the app and adding things to your favourites to your list, and then pick them up from the warehouse, and then you can do them in number order, because the warehouse always starts like you can see the numbers on the side of the rows in the warehouse, and they are in numerical order, so it's easy enough to go down and pick stuff up as you go along. I could probably tell you where a lot of stuff is in my IKEA, which is quite sad, but yeah. And then a couple of times we've had to pick if it says contact staff, then that means it may be in an external warehouse. In our IKEA, there is an external warehouse, which is 2 minutes round the corner. So then we order that through customer services and drive and pick that up. But that really does depend on where you are as to whether they have it all in one place or not. And that's normally the more obscure items. But also then, I'm pretty sure the IKEA website, the IKEA app, if you put everything in there, including like your boxes or your small inserts, it will tell you what department they're in. So you can pick them up from the department when you're in there and you know where you should be looking. And you can sort of plan your trip to IKEA in that way. So I wouldn't say ordering online is going to be any easier than picking it up from the warehouse yourself. Plus, if you're going anyway, it's rather exciting to do that, because then you get to come home with your goodies and you don't have to wait. But that's my 2 cents worth. I suppose a lot of it, I may have to go and find your Facebook post and see if there's any specific things when you say match it up, whether there's anything in particular. But that's the only thing that springs to mind with us, is occasionally we will go for some form of storage that is not, maybe, you know, we'll go for some sort of shelf system that may not be classed as like a Kallax and something fitting in. Kallax, they're very, very good at sort of showcasing what will fit in them. But when we want some form of storage box to go on some form of other IKEA furniture, sometimes that can be a bit tricky testing the sizes, because as much as you can measure, you never quite know until you're trying to fit it in. But yeah, we go late at night and we just wander around IKEA with random plastic boxes and try them out ourselves. Which is another reason we probably do it later at night. Lady Dax, she says she's been a bit out of sort this week. She says, having finished a custom painting of her sister's, she said she was in a bit of a slump. She says she's never been more grateful for some paint gem minis to do. She did a couple of butterflies, she says, and that got her through until she felt like tackling her big WIP. Sometimes when a painting, especially when it's got emotion behind it, it can, I think you just don't realise how much it can it's mentally different doing a picture with meaning behind it, whether it be because it's a custom of somebody in particular, or whether it be because, you know, the details behind the image. Sometimes I think it can just not be as relaxing as a painting that doesn't have that meaning behind it. And sometimes I don't think you realise until you stop. And it's when you stop and you've finished it that you realise that actually that's took quite a bit out of you. So I'm happy that you found something that could help you sort of do diamond painting that didn't involve that emotion, and help you relax just that little bit more. She says, just wondering how many people know the saying, oh giddy ant. Yes, I know the saying giddy ant. Oh giddy ant. I don't know where it comes from. She says it's been said in our family for as long as she can remember. And Sharon said it's always a saying for generations. Yes. Oh my giddy ant. In fact, I'm going to have a look where that comes from. Oh my giddy ant. Definition. What does it say? A mild exclamation of surprise, alarm, dismay, annoyance or exasperation. So yeah, it covers them all. Primarily heard in the UK and Ireland. So, oh my giddy ant, what a generous gift. Oh my giddy ant, don't scare me like that. Oh my giddy ant, what manner of rubbish are you watching? Yes, yes. I don't know whether I'd do oh my giddy ant, what a generous gift. But that's me personally. That's not something I'd say giddy ant to, I don't think. But what rubbish are you watching, or you scared me? Yeah. It's a polite way of not swearing, probably. That's why we use it so much. It's a nice way to say that you're shocked. Express surprise, exasperation, anything like that without swearing. Alley Cat says, happy Easter to you and everyone. She said it looks like April is going to be her month of change. Ooh. She says she's always been strictly a single placer and work on one square at a time. One square painting at a time. She says, but there are 3 events starting on April 1st. So she actually has 3 paintings kitted up and ready to go. She always starts each colour in a section by checkerboarding with tweezers and filling in with her single placer. But then today she started picking up 2 at a time with her tweezers. She says, does that make me an official multi-placer? I say yes, because you are placing more than one. You are placing multiple diamonds at a time, even if it's just 2. She says she might count it. She says, who knows? Maybe she'll try a round painting later in the year. She says, thanks for all you do for your community. Love your WIP and waffles. Oh, thank you, Alley Cat. Yes, I would say you are a multi-placer. And I think things like doing 3 paintings at a time, doing something a little bit different from maybe your normal comfort zone is fun every now and then. And I think that's the key, every now and then. So doing this in April because there's a reason, because you've got 3 events, all of that jazz, absolutely amazing. But I think if you tried to do it in May, June, July, etc., you would soon get rather annoyed with it. It's not your normal, it's your exception to normal, which is what makes it fun. because it's different for a short amount of time. So have an amazing time in April, being different from what you normally do, and rock that multi-placing. Doro Be Punked says, thanks for the nice whip and waffle once again. Thank you. Love that name. Love that YouTube name. Oh, Ali Cat, she says, hi, me again. She says, just curious. She says she's never heard of a maiden before. She did question her spelling, but her spelling's right. She said, is that a UK term? She says, she learns something new from me so often. Yes, maiden clothes horse is another name for it, or an era, clothes era. Maybe one of those will resonate with you. I think my mum used to call it a clothes horse, or it used to be a clothes horse as well as a maiden. Like it's one of those things, like us Brits like to do, give the same thing multiple names. So yeah, we have maiden, clothes area, clothes horse. They're all sort of the same thing. There may be very slight differences between types that allow them to be different names, but in the UK, if you use any of those names, people will more than likely know what you're talking about, unless they came from another country to begin with. So yeah, maiden is like a clothes era, clothes horse, something to hang your wet clothes on so they dry, basically. The bane of an item that shows up in UK households whenever it is winter and wet, or just wet. So this year, yeah, I think pretty much every household in the UK will be sick of the sight of them. Sharon says, our saying was lickety flick. Ah, see, I know the saying lickety quick. Lickety split, split quick, lickety, yeah. But yeah, lickety split, I like that one as well. I love some of these sayings. I think we should all adopt a few. Make them into our own. Cats6147, she says, hello Rebecca. She says, my name is Trina and she is a new subscriber all the way from Texas. Hello Texas, you have a lot nicer weather than we do. I hope you are well and good. She said she came across my channel around March the 23rd, which is her late fiance's birthday. She says, so it's an emotional time. She says on top of that, she says she's in between jobs. So needless to say, she has been experiencing some anxiety. Not surprised. She said she purchased her first kit from Amazon and fell in love. Oh, I'm so glad you found it, found the craft. It can be so helpful for so many people. It is definitely something that can help calm the mind. She says it takes her mind off her worries and it's super fun. She says she hopes to purchase from my shop once she's on her feet financially. She says, do you have any suggestions for shops/sites that have celestial kits? She's really into the moon and also yoga related things. She says, so if you had any recommendations, she'd appreciate it. She says she hopes me and my family had a wonderful Easter and she looks forward to more whip and waffles. Well, I'm so happy I can keep you company while you are exploring the new craft of diamond painting and everything that it brings. Specific sites for celestial, I mean, I suppose many of the sites that I use will have something that potentially ticks that box. I don't think there are any that are more dedicated to it or favour it more than another, though there may be. And it may be that somebody else who enjoys the same sort of paintings will have a suggestion, because of course if it is your interest, it's something that you're more likely to remember or recognise sellers that cover that interest a bit more. So all I can suggest really is sites that I like and enjoy, and most of those are linked on my website under links and codes. There is a lot of sites that I use for paintings, or I share their paintings, and believe me, I get lots of requests for items to sort of showcase on my channel, share with you all, and I don't take up ones I'm not interested in or I don't think you'd be interested in. So yeah, so I've been offered absolutely all sorts at some point, and I'm like, why? Yeah, so anyway, I don't showcase anything that I'm not happy with. If there's something that I do get, you know, that is maybe less than what I thought it would be, then I don't ever continue. There are some companies I've dealt with once and not dealt with again, not because I don't like them, but I'll always highlight any issues that I have. So budget wise, a lot will depend, because I know you're watching your budget at the moment. So fan sales might be a good place to start, budget wise. Then coup deals is the next one sort of up. They are a bit dearer, but things do get a little bit nicer within the kits. And then of course you have the big boys in relation to kits, and I think the two US based ones that I primarily use, and I say primarily, is Diamond Art Club and Dreamer Designs. I like both of those for different paintings. I tend to go for the paintings more than just sticking to one company. UK wise, Diamond Art Studio UK will ship to the States. It's a flat fee, so that might be one way you're better buying a few at once to benefit more from that. So that might be a little bit further down your financial journey. But they'd be the places that I'd start and have a look. But if anybody does know any sites that maybe particularly focus on the things that Trina likes, then do let me know, and I will read it out in a future WIP and Waffle. Sharon, she says, another quick clean was a slap and a tickle. Yes, slap and a tickle. Give it a quick clean. Literally just whack it with a cloth or tickle it with a cloth and it's job done. Nova Scotian Hiker, she says her current WIP is Cosmic Trip. Still absolutely love that painting. She says she's just over halfway done. She says it's amazing and she's loving it. She usually works on one large one at a time. However, she is going to participate on a Dakota Dweiler event that runs April 1st to May 31st. Her goal is to finish both by the end of May so that she can start a new one for June Waffle. She says she can't believe June is coming so fast. I know, I was planning in, or sort of slotting in temporarily in my YouTube schedule before I came to film this. It was actually because my Oraloa paintings turned up yesterday. So I was like, okay, let's slot these into the schedule because I can always slide things about week on week as I'm finessing things. But let's get those slid in, and let's slide in some of these other sort of ideas that I've had for videos, or things that you guys have requested. A few sort of different types of videos, I suppose, that if I slot them in, if I need to dekit a kit, then I can sort of move them down my schedule a little bit, and slot in my dekittings, but then I have something to do when I've not got sort of the general daily process to do, if that even makes sense. And yeah, I couldn't believe when I came to sort of June Waffle already, and I'm like, oh, do you know what? It's not that far away. I am pretty sure that I did put into my schedule, and now I'm going to check, because now I'm wondering. I'm pretty sure I did put in kitting up of my June painting. And no, I haven't. I haven't put that into May. Okay, I will get that into May. Kitting up my June painting. So I will get that scheduled in for May. But I'm pretty sure I know which one I'm doing now. It was a suggestion from a subscriber. They suggested doing Artist Room by Diamond Art Club, which is one in my stash. It's a pastel one, so it's a little bit different. It's not a huge painting, so I can split it into the 30 sections. It's a round painting. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that I am going to do that one for June WIP and Waffle. I do just need to pull it out and check that it's not a ridiculous size, but I'm pretty sure it's not. So I'll get that one scheduled in and try and let you know when that one's happening. But yes, June is creeping up major fast. In fact, 2024 seems to be going quite fast considering we're in April. Though maybe it's just because I've been wishing the year away because I want the weather to get nicer. And it's taken this long for it to get nicer. So maybe it's that. Right, I've just decided to try and get that. I just wanted to get that little bit of nose finished before I started moving on to colours that are down here. But it looks like I'm getting quite a scattering in the main body of this anyway. But this blue background definitely is gorgeous, but it definitely makes for a bit more confetti, not as much. I don't multi-place on here very often. There is the odd colour I do, but a lot of them, even though I had a row of 3 there, I have so many more of these symbols that are all over the place. It's not worth me trying to hunt out the ones that I could potentially multi-place with, because I'd have just single place by the time I found them all. Christina, she says, being from Germany, she says, we obviously don't use a lick and a promise. She says, however, my mum and grandma both did the dreaded spitting on a handkerchief. She said, so it seems as though that is at least international. Yes. Gotta keep up these appearances, have we not? Can't look as though we have messy kids. The joys. The memories from childhood that are not always as sweet. Right, let me get... Okay, I think I was like, do I do that 4? Yes, I'm going to do that number 4, because then I feel that is the nose definitely finished. And then I'll move on to my sort of blues down here and see where we end up. Right, Grey Legrand, she says, hitting pause. She says it's Denise here, which is her name in the Facebook group. She says she's not sure who's responsible for the Lego blame game. She says it's just Rebecca has mentioned it multiple times, and her boyfriend got her the succulents for Valentine's Day. She said, so she's got her mum hooked too. She deconstructed her succulents, bagged each one up and labelled them and took them to her on her last visit. And she rooted around for all her extra gift cards and store credits to Walmart, and they went and got a few more little sets. She said the addiction is real. She says she got her a Groot kit for her birthday in June. She says she'll be 78. And it's Lego kit 76217. She says it's so cute. She says, what can I say? She says we're a group of enablers, support and inspiration. So true. So true. And I think, you know, along with, and I knew I'd do that, along with the support and the inspiration, you know, there's just going to be enabling. And I think we just all accept our part in it and carry on. Carry on and enjoy. Polly says she loves the cover paper. She says presently she is using Clover and Blue Butterfly will grace her new painting tomorrow. She says she loves the size of the paper and the feel of it herself. She says, thank you, Rebecca, for all that you do. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. I like the extra little pizzazz of colour to a painting before the painting itself takes over and brings it all to life. And yeah, I'm really enjoying picking out which cover paper I want to do with which painting. I'm kind of tempted to cover sort of all of my Paint Gem minis as well. So I really can't see as much what they are and do them sort of the other way up. Partly just so that I can use some more cover paper. Because, say, I do really enjoy it. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun, fun, fun. Right, have I got all of those? No, there's one there. Have I now got all of those? I think I have, until I find another. Until I find one I missed. We will class that as a yes. Bobby says, hello Rebecca. He said, just a quick note on a tip and trick. They said when they first got cover sheets, unfortunately not from us, she says she found that they were way too thin and she could see through them. She said almost as if they were not there. She says instead of ordering new ones, she started using the paper that her labels come on. She says they're a great size and thickness, and it helps save a little money and keeps them out of the trash. Yes, so the backing of labels. I'm not sure if I've actually done a tip and trick on that one. I know I did something on the rest of the label sheets. I just can't remember which ones it was. See, it could have been on ditching the clear cover. I could have maybe put it all in with that one, which was actually quite an older one. It was like number 7 or something. But I'm pretty sure I remember talking about it, unless it was me thinking of taking the edges and using the... Oh, no, there it is. Sticker sheet as cover paper, number 49. Yeah, so I do have a tip and trick on that one, but I'm glad you've sort of found it out as well. Even if it is a tip and trick that somebody's mentioned before, if you've never heard it before, it's always an exciting feeling to have found a tip and trick that works well for you. But yeah, the tip in using the back of the sticker sheet for cover paper is a good one, especially if you're watching pennies. Also, the strip down the side, when you've used like the actual individual stickers, the sort of borders of the sticker sheets can be really good for using for like covering the foam board in your spare storage, and using it that way, using those side strips to just pretty up your storage stuff. So that may help some of you as well. Right, I'm kind of thinking I need to start going into some of these darker colours here, but I'm wondering if I should fill in some of these others first or just go for these darker colours. No, let's just go for the darker colours. I'm going to have to do it eventually. Kim, she says she's been watching my older June events, and someone commented that they built a holder for the trays out of Legos. She said you were going to look into that and try and build one. She said, did you ever do that? No, I completely forgot about that. Whether it put me back on the train of looking for storage, that tray storage that we could stock in the shop, maybe, I'm not sure. But I know I would have to buy a box of Lego to try that. Because like I don't have like old childhood Lego, you know, with just loads of blocks of 8 and stuff. I don't have any of that round the house. And my great nephews are way too small for Lego yet. The opportunity will come. But yeah, the other nephews that are into Lego big time live in Australia, so I can't borrow theirs. But my great nephews are too small. So yeah, I never actually tried that one. Never got round to it, but I did get round to finding storage for the shop. So yeah, I must have completely blanked that one because I found something that worked. But yeah, Lego could be made to work for tray storage. I reckon it would probably cost more than tray storage, but if you have Lego about, that would be pretty fun to give it a go. Kim, she also says she suffered through her mum and grandma's method of cleaning while out. She says those lovely saliva-filled fingers, hankies and tissues have all been experienced. She says what was worse, she said, was whenever she experienced her daily sneezing fits of 10 to 12 sneezes, and her dad pulled out his nasty hanky from his back pocket, telling me to blow my nose in that, hoping that her sneezing fit would end. She said, so gross. She said that hanky was well used by him every day, and at her first sneeze in his presence, she tried to stop so she wouldn't have that torture. She said it never worked. She said she has to go through her sequence. She said her dad passed away in 2021, and she still tells my stepmom that she was a brave soldier to wash those nasty things for him. She says, give me a spit shine any day of the week, but don't make me use that hanky. Oh, bless. Did you not start carrying a hanky? See, my thought would be, oh, okay, well, that made you carry your own hanky then. But I suppose it depends on the age, whether, in effect, forward planning in that sense would even enter your brain. It's not until you started sneezing that you'd associate that dad's hanky with it all. My dad always carries a hanky, but I've never known it to be a yucky hanky. So, plus, then again, I never got to use it either. Trudy says she has proper brand Lego, but she's bought some from Temu. She said it's great quality, but maybe a tad smaller, and it's so much cheaper. Yeah, I mean, that often is the case when you get sort of, I suppose, knockoff brands. They often are cheaper. It's one of those, whether it's worth it in the long run, I suppose. I just enjoy building it as and when I can. I can't always end up getting it. I can't warrant it. I can't always afford it. It's like, you know, you've got to weigh up the pros and the cons, I suppose. But I think I'd rather wait and save up and get, I suppose, real Lego myself. Blossom Shop, she says there are 2 things, she says, on the new logbook covers she says that she misses from the old ones. She says, firstly, the rounded corners and the overlap, she says, at the top and bottom of the pages. She says she was hoping that you were going to revise the width so the outside edges would also end up being protected. I mean, that's something we could possibly do. The only thing is with that is when you stand the logbook up, it would put pressure on the pages, pulling them down. That's why we kept the bottom of it, the sort of top and bottom, the same distance. Because I found with the others, the top and bottom would sort of curl in a bit, which I know on this plastic it wouldn't do the same, but it would end up pulling the pages down in sort of a droop. So we did them the same height so that they can be stood up on a shelf. You can still round the corners though. If you do have a corner rounder, you can, but the corner rounding that they offered, that we did have as an option for those, I don't know whether I'm just fussy. In fact, yes, I am fussy. My kids tell me all the time. But their corner rounding just wasn't a nice corner, if that makes sense. It wasn't a subtle corner. So we did go through quite a few different options before we settled on this one. The only thing I'm thinking is whether to actually shrink that overlap on the edge just a little bit. But at the same point, it can be cut off if need be. So we'll see when we're due to ordering next whether to get that just a mil or 2 shorter. Cassidy, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she has a new cousin that just came last month. Welcome to the newbie. She says she wants to show her how to diamond paint. She says she knows that she shouldn't do it now, but she was thinking a little bit later. She said, what is the appropriate age to show my cousin how to diamond paint? She says she's just curious, diamond painter to diamond painter. Well, I think a lot of that can depend on the child. Very much so depends on the child. There are... I mean, I'm thinking in my head late 2, early 3 is probably the earliest with supervision. But it could quite possibly be older than that. There are things that you can do to help them on their way, but it does really depend on the child. So my niece, when she was younger, she used to love to diamond paint for all of 5 minutes. She's very much, and still has, a shorter attention span, unless she's moving. If she's moving, then that's different. But to sit down and do something, she enjoys it, but she wouldn't sit down and do it for a very long time. It's more of a, I'll do a bit of this, I'll go do some gymnastics, I'll come back and I'll sit and do a bit of this type. That's just her personality. Whereas my nephew, and a lot younger, would sit and diamond paint for a very long time. But you've just got to think about the skill with the likes of a pen. So, you know, by all means now, you know, help them with their fine motor skills, I suppose. So, you know, anything that is to do with fine motor skills, picking things up, holding things, being able to direct things to a certain place, like you need to do with diamond painting, start honing those skills now. Because one, not only will that really help them in later life anyway, but that will be your judge as to, that and their personality will be your judge as to when you can potentially introduce diamond painting, is getting those fine motor skills down. Ashley, she says she doesn't know if it'll help, she says, but she pronounces Massachusetts as, and then she's given me the breakdown of Massachusetts, which is what I read. It does help. The thing is, every time everybody writes Massachusetts, they don't write that shortened bit, and I forget in between, because it's something I have to say when one of you guys throws it into a comment, which I'm sure will happen more and more as time goes on. But yeah, it's just one of those words that, you know, it's just not spoken as much in the UK either. Like, it's not like watching the news, we'd hear it from, you know, because it was about a part in our country. Do you get what I mean? It's not something that somebody may say in a news article, somebody is from here, you know, or in a TV show it might come up, or anything that, you know, is, I suppose, verbally confirmed often just doesn't happen because it's not a UK place. So yeah, if anybody does write it down and they can write down the sort of pronunciation part with it, all the better. Mindy, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she loves it when I say Massachusetts, which she did put in brackets. Thank you, that helped. She says, we just had what ended up being a snow/ice storm last week. She says, Thursday, we're expecting a nor'easter. She says, in case you aren't familiar with that term, I'm loving your explanations because I was thinking, what on earth is that? It's a major snowstorm. Oh, okay. It sounds nicer than it is then. She says, for cover paper, she says she was wondering if I could do sand dollars or starfish. She says, or something ocean, please. I think we have a few of those in our potential lineup for summer. So provided they make the summer range, so provided they make the cut. But if not, I will note down that they've been requested. So if the ones I've already picked don't make the cut when we print them and cut them and see what they look like, then I will see if I can find any others. She says she really enjoys my late night whips. She says, and a few times you had me giggling. She says, thank you so much for your comment. Makes me think I should do a few more late night whips. But anyway. Okay, I still do have a lot of comments to get through, but I do need to leave that there because I need to go and make sure that orders are packed and out for today. So quite a bit bitty, but I will fill this in at some point and we'll see how far we get. But thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll speak to you all again soon.